With Thedas being a land full of mystery and magic, there are many secret locations across the various nations of Orlais, Ferelden, Tevinter, the Three Marches, and many others that are known to only a select chosen few. Within the Three Marches, there is said to be a store known to only those lucky enough to be invited in by its eccentric owner. Hidden deep under the streets of the City of Chains, the population of Kirkwall are unaware that just under their feet is an extremely unique location locked away from the general populace above. The store itself allowed those invited in to browse the unique items collected through the ages. For a high price, an adventurer could completely upgrade their inventory. Healers could collect medicines not found on the regular market, and it is even said that some were given the opportunity to completely change not only their appearance, but also adapt the memories of those that had seen them before entering the mystical secret Emporium. What does this store hold? Why is the owner of this establishment so selective of those he invites inside? And what secrets does this location have? Here we explore, in the lore behind the Black Emporium. Back during the 6th Age of Steel, there was an arrogant human nobleman by the name of Xenon. As an extremely wealthy man during this troubled age full of war due to the Qunari attempts to conquer the land, he looked around and sought to secure a future for himself. With his egotistical nature and belief that he deserved better than those he saw as lower and not as deserving as him, Xenon searched for a way to evade death, not only from the troubles of Thedas, but also from his natural short morality that came with being human. With this, Xenon spent many of his natural years searching for methods to stop his aging and essentially live forever. With every endeavor he came across, he threw his gold at them in the hope that each one would be his path to immortality. As the years passed and with much of his gold spent, Xenon finally came across someone that could help, a witch. It is said that Xenon came across an Antivan witch of the wilds. Although it is unknown how he discovered her or where they met, it is known that this witch offered Xenon a deal in which he accepted. With many witches of the wild rumoured across the whole of Thedas through time, it is unknown which witch this was. Some believe it to have been Flemeth, a witch even some still believe to be a myth, while others believe it to be one that simply wanted to stay hidden from those that would hunt her. It is unknown what the payment was for such a deal, but Xenon asked the Witch of the Wild for eternal life, in which she granted it for him. As Xenon had been so focused on this goal, he had forgotten to ask for eternal youth as well as life. While some would believe these two wishes to be one in the same, the witch took his initial wish at face value and gave him the ability to live forever, regardless of how the aging process would affect him in the long run. Feeling that he had successfully earned eternal life, Xenon went on with his life within Kirkwall, but became concerned as he noticed that his body continued to age. Now aware that he had essentially been tricked by the witch, Xenon realized that he had a limited time frame to find a way to now preserve his body before it was too late. Once again throwing his gold at any method that would allow his body to stay in tune with his mind, Xenon tried mystical and dangerous techniques to help his situation, but over the years, nothing seemed to work. As the years passed, Xenon's body began to wither and decay. With an image of himself to uphold as a nobleman, Xenon thought it wise to create a safe space for himself deep under the streets of Kirkwall, where he set up his own place in the Undercity. Many years after his initial deal with the witch, Xenon's body had decayed to the point where he was unable to move on his own. Placing himself in the center of his new home, Xenon continued to wither until the point where he required the help of servants to take care of him. To communicate, he used magical artifacts to speak with his servants, where he would command them to follow his orders. Still wealthy, this egotistical, arrogant human had fallen so far, but still had power over the poor. Although all hope appeared lost, Xenon continued to purchase the rarest mystical artifacts that could be found across Thedas in the hope that one of them would restore his body. With every failed attempt at restoring his youth, Xenon became more mad over the years, spiraling with madness from his situation. His servants went on to search for more artifacts, but failed every time in acquiring one that could help him. Over the next 300 years after his deal and immortality had been achieved, Xenon had decayed to the point where all he could do was sit within the center of his room, where all of his artifacts he had collected over the years were simply scattered around him. With the nature of his condition worsening, Xenon would order his servants to bathe him hourly in order to prevent the pain that came with his bones drying up. These servants notably being young children that had been rescued from the streets in return for their care of him. It was speculated by some that he chose children specifically due to their small and tender hands that would handle Xenon's tender skin and bones softer than a grown human. As Xenon had spent a good deal of his wealth over the ages searching for a way to bring back his youthfulness, Xenon had decided to open up a place where he could sell all of the artifacts that he had collected over the years, as well as other useful wares that could help those across Thedas. With this, he named this place the Black Emporium. To this, Xenon invited people across Thedas that he deemed worthy to visit his store of vast and magnificent rare treasures. The earliest known person to visit the Black Emporium is believed to have occurred in the Blessed Age. For every person Xenon wanted to attend his emporium, he would send out his servants to deliver invitations to potential suitors. Their goal was to invite the wealthy members of society into the Black Emporium where they could spend their gold on the artifacts that Xenon did not find useful anymore. Within the invitation, it is said that Xenon wrote to each member individually aware of who they were. Along with an introduction of what they were being invited to visit, the letter also included the instructions on how to find the Black Emporium and a charm that would allow access to the secret store. With the charm seemingly being a security feature for Xenon and his followers within, the letter also alerted the invitee that giving the charm to another person would immediately remove their access to the Black Emporium as well as unknown consequences. As Xenon at this point had acquired many magical items, it would be safe to assume that the consequences would be of magical nature from the tricks Xenon had picked up along his path. While his artifacts were charged at extremely high rates, the products themselves were said to be worth every piece of gold, silver, and copper. With this new source of revenue, Xenon could barter with those that visited and in turn make a profit from the new items that came his way. With his new source of wealth, Xenon would then spend it on continuing to find a way to reverse the effects of aging and restore him back to his once youthful state, and with this, maybe his mad mind would follow. Sitting within the center of the Black Emporium, Xenon would greet those that had accepted his invitation. While initially confused by the mass of bones sitting on the throne, Xenon watched as these adventurers, merchants, healers, and nobles rifled through his old belongings where they would discover ancient items lost through the ages. Although he had invited these people in by choice, Xenon was still aware that he could still not trust the motives behind those that visited, and so he had his servants, mostly seen to be urchin children, to watch over the wares, while other creatures that appeared to change periodically stood guard, ready to attack if Xenon or his emporium were treated poorly. While the Black Emporium is one of Thedas' best kept secrets, those that have visited and written about it all spoke to the treasure inside and the immortal man that sat on the throne. The man they would name Xenon the Antiquarian, a collector of unique items. While the majority of the items within the Black Emporium were available for purchase from Xenon, there were other items of mystery that for those that viewed them, left them in awe. The first item noticed was the Mirror of Transformation. This completely unique item allowed its user to completely alter their appearance. While this would seem like a tame charm for someone skilled in the magical arts, the mirror then had the ability to not only change the current appearance of the user, but to also change who they were, where it would reach out into the infinite universes of the history of Thedas and place the user into an extremely similar timeline with the same world around them, only in this one, they were born with the appearance they had chosen in the mirror, essentially a gateway to another timeline without the messy side effects. With this action, it is also even said that the family members of the user would change during this motion to match the user of the mirror, as the threads that had been changed through history to change the user's appearance had also adapted the appearance of the bloodline, and in turn affected the many previous generations. A truly powerful item indeed, something so powerful that still had not worked for Xenon in his quest. While not an artifact, Xenon is said to have a creature that lives under the floorboards of the Black Emporium. Although it is unknown how Xenon acquired this creature, it is said that Xenon offers the creature those that have entered the Emporium without his permission. It is unknown what this creature looks like, the only people that do know being Xenon and those victims that see it just before their deaths. Another item of note by the visitors of the Black Emporium was reported to be the maddening Box of Screaming. While the history of this item is unknown, the only known history of this item is that an adventurer had acquired it within the Silent Plains free of charge from a man that did not want to give his name. Upon receiving the box, the adventurer attempted to open it with a hammer. As they struck the box, it shrieked, piercing the souls of those within the vicinity. To this, the adventurer gave the box to an innkeeper, where it then found its way into Xenon's hands in the Black Emporium. While not extremely interesting, it was said that Xenon also held a nude statue of Andraste, which he would cry out at those visiting if they ever got too close to the statue or showed ill intent towards it. During 934 Dragon, the champion of Kirkwall was invited to visit the Black Emporium. Using his regular method of sending a letter, the champion travelled into the undercity of Kirkwall and used the seal to open the entrance to the secret store. Within, the champion discovered the various mystical wares that Xenon had collected through the ages. It is said that the champion used many of the items here to aid them on their path through the politics of Kirkwall and to survive the war between the Templars and the Mages. As they browsed the store, the champion was kept in company by Xenon, who was happy to have someone to visit him, along with Xenon's assistant, an urchin boy, and a stone golem that went by the name of Thedas Gigantus Crumbum III, the golem being the perfect creature to stop the theft of the items within to protect Xenon and his servants. As Xenon had had many creatures and people visit through the ages, he regarded Thedas Gigantus Crumbum III as one of his favourites to protect the Emporium. Over the years, many people would visit this place and some would even write of their trip. While some came to the Black Emporium and spent vast amounts of their wealth on the artifacts on offer, there were some that came and discovered the pricing of the items to be too high. Although choosing not to purchase anything within, some found that while they were surrounded by magical and powerful items that were interesting in their own right, they found the view of Xenon and his decayed state far more curious than their environment. After the champion of Kirkwall had defeated Knight Commander Meredith after she had been negatively influenced by the effects of the red lyrium discovered in the deep roads, Xenon somehow used his connections within Kirkwall to take her body, where he added her petrified remains to his collection within the Black Emporium. Here, he had a piece of history within view that had changed Kirkwall forever. After the sky opened, bringing forth breaches between our world and the Fade, the Inquisition was formed and a new hero rose through the ranks in an attempt to save Thedas from Corypheus. With this, Xenon invited the Inquisitor to the Black Emporium where they could spend their wealth on his wares. With a world constantly changing, Xenon followed suit, making upgrades to the Black Emporium with a slight redesign. Over the 7 years since the champion of Kirkwall had visited the Black Emporium, Xenon had sent out his servants to acquire new rare armor, weapons, accessories, and even an area to purchase the rare materials found throughout Thedas. As the Inquisitor entered the secret store, they were greeted by an even further decayed Xenon. From the Inquisitor's accounts of their visit to the location, they spoke of having met a unique miniature bear that went by the name of Chauncey. With being such a unique creature, it is said that Xenon purchased this bear from an unknown magister, this truly showing how far Xenon's influence and catalogue of customers had spread through the ages. Although the many who had visited previously had spoken of the urchin children caring for Xenon, none were seen during the Inquisitor's many visits, but they did hear Xenon call out for them. Alongside this, the legendary stone golem Thaddeus Gigantus Crumbum III was also missing, but there surely must have been a good reason for this unknown to the visitors, and a security system would have been in place within the Black Emporium. It is believed by many that Xenon the Antiquarian only invited potential customers into the Black Emporium so that they could in turn fund his search for a cure for aging, but others report that Xenon also enjoys not only creating melodramatic invitations to his store, but he also enjoyed seeing the new people and hearing their stories. Limited to his chair, Xenon is forced to come up with his own ways of entertainment, and through the many years of having seen almost everything as it occurred, he simply seeks ways for his time to pass faster while searching for a cure. The Black Emporium is a location unique to the land of Thedas. Those that have visited have commented on how interesting and fascinating their trips have been, not only for the artifacts, weapons, healing produce, and various other items available for purchase, but also for the extremely unique situation that Xenon had found himself in, where some even found him more interesting than the wares available for purchase. As the ages continue, Xenon will only continue to decay, even to a worse state than he is in now. Without a way to die, he will simply continue to run the Black Emporium in the undercity of Kirkwall, hiding away from those above, growing more mad each day. As the world moves on, Xenon continues to keep up to date with the actions occurring within the world, and with the Dragon Age being one of the most eventful since the Ancient Age, he surely will have to be more careful in keeping the location of the store a secret from those that may want to conquer it for its vast catalogue of magical artifacts. Even during the mid-Dragon Age, Xenon worried that the Red Templars would discover his Emporium and in turn break everything. With the world full of dangerous people, and with Xenon still searching, maybe one day he will discover a cure for his affliction that had been given to him centuries before during his trickery of a witch of the wilds. But what will happen when he does potentially find a cure? Will he use this time of thinking as a lesson of not to look down on those he believed to be less than him? Or will he use his knowledge and artifacts gathered throughout the ages to either help the world or hinder it? Regardless, the Black Emporium is an essential place that has not only helped Xenon the Antiquarian throughout the years, but it has also helped Thedas and the many who have required its specialized items during their time of need. A truly remarkable place, indeed. The Black Emporium was one of my favourite locations and absolutely one of the standout places that I tend to think about when my mind wanders to Dragon Age and what made it special to me. The first time I visited it, it was actually during Inquisition. Yes, I played the games out of order, but I have since rectified that. Seeing Xenon just sitting there as a helpless husk made me instantly wonder what had happened to him and why he was in this room. After learning about this deal with the witch, I am assuming, like many others, that this could be Flemeth's handiwork, but sadly we do not have any confirmation of that yet. I do hope to see the Black Emporium return in Dragon Age 4, and even in my mind, Xenon could find his cure and either possibly become a very powerful ally or an enemy due to the artifacts and knowledge he has learned over the years. And he's immortal, so that's pretty powerful too. When I decided that I wanted to move on to Dragon Age lore, the Black Emporium was the first episode I wanted to write, but the Ages seemed like the best start. Regardless, the Black Emporium and its whole story is one of the most interesting locations I have come across in most of the games I have played, and I am glad that I got to experience it. That was the lore behind the Black Emporium in Dragon Age. The Black Emporium is absolutely one of my favourite locations in the whole series, not just down to the amazing items you can purchase, but also because of Xenon's story and how he has suffered through the years. It adds a lot to the location. If you enjoyed this episode, I would really appreciate it if you could leave a like and a comment on your thoughts. If you really liked it, then go ahead and subscribe. I am going to attempt to release a Dragon Age video every couple of weeks, so subscribe to be notified when I do. If you would like to stay up to date with everything I get up to outside of YouTube, then go ahead and follow my Twitter and Instagram. I do also stream on both YouTube and Twitch every Friday, where we are currently playing through Fallout New Vegas and Alien Isolation. The link is in the description below if you are interested. Finally, I would like to thank my patrons who are helping to support the channel. If you want to help me continue making this content, please consider becoming a patron. I really appreciate my guys. Thank you to the Old Gods, Avi WV, Arco, Austin Moody, Brunette Janas, and Jojo Scotia. And an extra special thank you to the Elder Ones tier, Scrushroom, Jonas, Lewis, and Queen Abby. Thank you guys so much. What did you think of this lore episode? Was the Black Emporium one of your favourite locations? Do you think that Xenon deserved the fate he received after his origin story? And do you think that Xenon will return in Dragon Age 4, where he may have actually found a cure to reverse his aging? In my opinion, I think that Xenon would be a great boss or companion simply down to him having lived through all of these ages and having access to all of these magical items. That is, if he does find a cure. If you have any suggestions for future Dragon Age lore videos, then please let me know. Since writing these, I have been given a ton of suggestions and I cannot wait to get started on them. I'd love to add your favourite locations and characters on the list too. I think that was everything. Now, enjoy your day. Bye.